Hey everyone, welcome back to another session of Where Do We Go From Here? It's Imran Khan, and today I'm really blessed to have two of my very good friends from college joining us to talk a little bit about what it's been like to be an actor or a performer in the midst of the current crisis. So I have two folks with me here today. One is Mackenzie Thomas, based out of Las Vegas, and the lead soprano singer in Mystere from Cirque du Soleil, and she'll tell you a little bit more about some of the work that she's been doing. And the other person on the Zoom is Ray Lee, who is one of the most exceptional people, hardest working actors I know, consistently been working on Broadway since we graduated. And he most recently was in Mack and Ray at City Encores. So thank you guys so much for joining me. Do you guys want to take a second to introduce yourselves and maybe start to tell us a little bit about what it's been like being an actor in the middle of all this craziness?
Sure. So, hi, Emmy. Thank you for having us today. I'm super happy to be here. So, I'm Mackenzie Thomas. As Emmy said, I am currently singing for Cirque du Soleil, or actually not right now because we're in a pandemic. But prior to my time with Cirque, and my previous Cirque show was Zarkana by Cirque du Soleil, I actually dabbled in the musical theater Broadway world as well. And my big Broadway thing was Mamma Mia, and then that kind of segued into a lot of concert singing overseas with Disney and orchestra kind of gigs. And then now I'm really doing what I really feel like I was meant to do. So I'm really lucky to have, or normally really lucky to have this gig working for Cirque, and that's kind of my journey. Ray?
Hi everyone, I'm Raymond J. Lee, and believe it or not, me and Mackenzie both were on a reality show together, and that probably sparked my professional career.
That's right.
2003.
2003. From then I've been able to do, theater, some TV and film when they want me, but most recently was in Mack and Ray Encores, the actually only encore show, City Center encore show this year before everything shut down. And when we shut down, I was also in rehearsal for Once Upon a One More Time, which is the Britney Spears musical. We were excited. We're supposed to go to Chicago and then come to Broadway later this year. And right now, everything's postponed. It's just kind of sitting here and waiting to see what the latest updates are. Pandemic parenting, as Mackenzie knows as well. Homeschooling as well. So it's juggling a lot of hats right now.
Yeah.
So I'd love to actually hear about that experience for both of you when you guys found out that things were going to start shutting down. How was that communicated to you from your various, commitments that you had? What happened? Like, tell me how you guys felt in those moments. I'm really curious to hear how it directly impacted you.
Okay, so I'll go first. The week leading up to March 14th, which I think was the last night of shows for us, we do a 10 show a week here in Mystere. And the week leading up, we heard kind of through the grapevine and through correspondence with our company that we were going to move to a 1 show a night week. Wow. And so we knew our shows were going to be halved, and we knew something big was going on in the world. We kind of, I was getting together with people outside of Cirque, people that kind of had insider information with MGM properties. And they were saying, oh, you're going to get some news all right when you go into work on Saturday. And because we had a meeting at 4:00 the Saturday before our last final 2 shows. And we all met in the audience or the theater, and we sat in the seats, and our director and stage manager came out, company manager, and they basically were like, so we were going to do 1 show a night weeks, but we're shutting down completely after tonight's 2 shows. And we were like, what? And like I said, I kind of knew something big was going to happen in that meeting based on talking to some MGM people. And from that point on, our main concern obviously was, are we going to get paid? Will we have health insurance? We have a lot of people from all over the world in my company. We have something like 21, 22 countries represented in my cast. So there's a lot of people with families that have come here, children, a lot of uneasy feelings when this went down. A lot of people were standing up like, what are we going to do? Like, I have a family to support. I have children. So it took them about 24 to 48 hours to get back to us to guarantee that we'll have health insurance coverage for 6 months.
Wow.
So that was a huge thing. And we were really grateful for that, of course, but no pay. So we went from doing pretty well, you know, everyone felt pretty sturdy. I like to think of Miss Dara as the Phantom of the Opera of the desert, because our show has been running for 26 plus years. So it's the show that has been paid off. You know, we don't have to really even do half percentage to fill the house to make profit. So it was one of those shows that's like, oh, nothing will shut down Miss Dare. You know, even this, it's like, nah, this piece of cake. And it knocked everyone on its feet. So that is kind of what happened with my show.
That's so scary.
It's funny because, like, I think earlier this year I was doing when we were doing Mack and Mabel. Of course, early in the year, everyone heard about COVID. Overseas. Oh, I don't think it's gonna reach here. Is it really that big of a deal? Blah blah blah. So I personally didn't take it as seriously. We would be in rehearsal for Mack and Mabel and hearing about, you know, stuff happening maybe in Seattle, Korea, Hong Kong, and we were kind of like, is it gonna come here? It can't be that bad. We did the show. Everything was fine. Some of us actually had a weird, mysterious illness during that. I remember a couple cast members were just kind of coughing, having moments. And then during Britney, it got even more serious and serious. I feel like they shut Broadway down, was it like March 12th? I feel like it was the day before Friday 13th. So that day we had rehearsal. That was our second week of rehearsal. We found out on that Thursday that they were shutting Broadway down that evening, which sucked because like 6 was supposed to open that night. Like people were in previews. Doubtfire was in previews. And then we kept rehearsing knowing something would probably happen to us. And me, luckily, Robbie and Ella, my husband and my daughter, were upstate already. So the next day on Friday, I just had a gut feeling that we were all going to get shut down. So I packed my bag, went to rehearsal. We rehearsed till about 1 o'clock, and then the producers came in and said, hey, they're shutting everything down. So we will keep you guys posted when things come back. But yeah, right now we're just in a holding pattern. So I got on the bus, came up to the house. A week and a half later, I had COVID. It was great.
No. Do you mind telling us a little bit about that? Like, you know, that experience of figuring out what was going on and.
Yeah, it was hard. I started off just being very tired. The big signal for me was losing my taste and smell. That was a huge trigger. Once that happened, I was like, okay, I think I have this. And then the aches started, then the fatigue started. Then I quarantined away from my family when I could. We were all under one house, but I couldn't fully quarantine because A, I was the homeschool parent, and B, we were all trying to figure all this out. So yeah, it took about 5-6 weeks to get over it. I had 3 waves. So I thought I was getting better, and then it got worse, then it got better, got worse again.
Wow.
And then finally, I think I was done with it by the end of the 5th week. Got tested for antibodies. I have that. And I feel very, very lucky that I never had to go to the hospital. I did have tightness in my chest. That was the worst of it with the fatigue, but I never had to go to the hospital and get on a ventilator and some of that stuff that I know people have been going through.
Well, God bless. I mean, that would have been just really, really terrifying. You know, you guys really are well articulated exactly what the impact was for you when everything was announced. I'm really curious, were there like government programs that were set up to help people like yourselves who were actors, who were, you know, working on a contract basis? How did you guys kind of figure this out from a financial perspective? If you're comfortable sharing, I'd be interested in hearing about that.
So for me, because we're on full-time year-long contracts, most of us, we're full-time employees. So we were able to apply for unemployment if we chose to do so. However, there were many people that did not work with the company long enough, who were from out of the country who did not qualify.
Mhm.
And those were the people we really worried about. And so a few of us from my cast, and also I heard from another Cirque show and other ones, we actually banded together and the first couple weeks raised our own, just between us, not like a GoFundMe, but just kind of raised our own money to help out some of our cast members that we heard were really struggling, that had children. And so we took that upon ourselves. But then there were movements in this community to also start GoFundMes for actors and or performers around Vegas that were in the same boat. So I just think a lot of people are taking individual initiatives. If it's not working out with the government, then everyone's kind of banding together and doing what they can to help out each other. I mean, like I said, I'm really lucky that I'm a full-time employee. So, I can apply for unemployment. And it's been a help. It's certainly nothing like your real paycheck, but it's absolutely helpful. And, I'm lucky that, I am married to someone who has a somewhat stable position, but again, his industry, he works in the CBD industry, and his main company is wholesale CBD. That was hugely affected as well, though, because, the people, they had all this product to sell, and the people on the receiving end, they had to get rid of all of their employees. So they had to shut down parts of their company. So it's a trickle down effect. I mean, everyone was affected by this. So, honestly, moral of the story, save, even when times are so good and you're like riding high. That's when you should really save, and not just be like, oh yeah, life is good, I made it. Because in this industry, it's good, it's bad, it's great, it's horrible. It's a constant roller coaster. And I know it's like that in many industries, but especially in the arts, it's mostly bad. I mean, it really is. Like, you have some great moments, but there's a lot of low times. So you really have to be smart about saving and putting money away for a rainy day. But also, I think side projects and getting into other things to kind of generate income is always a good idea. I mean, it certainly can't hurt. So, yeah.
I'm like with Mackenzie, where it's like, when you're doing really well, that's when I create that safety blanket, make it bigger, because when it's bad, that's what you use to survive. But I was lucky because lucky in retrospect, I was unemployed before the Britney Project, so I had an unemployment claim already open. So the moment I needed to claim, I could just sign right back on, went to my account. In New York, we get the extra $600 a week in addition to the unemployment amount. So that was already starting for me. So I've been able to live off of that, and I'm very grateful. I've had friends that are still waiting for their claims to go through. And it's like, my heart goes out to them. Actually, with the Britney Project, and then with another show, Soft Power, we had like cast group chats where we were like, if anybody needs help, please let us know. There's no shame. There's nothing. Like, let us know. Right now we're living through a pandemic. So if you need food, rent money, this and that, reach out to us, because theaters are family. Like, we have each other backs. Casts are family. Clearly with, Mackenzie's cast, like, they want to take care of the people that are struggling. And that's what we wanted to do too. I'm lucky to have a Muggle husband as well, who has his job. Thank you, Jesus. And he's been able to transfer to being remote. So he's up on the third floor working, and I'm down here making sure my daughter and my cats are alive.
This is really amazing perspective to hear on the ground, how things have impacted you guys and how you've been able to really start coping with this current crisis. I'd be really curious to get your take on what you think is going to happen in like 6 months, a year, 2 years, how you think the arts are going to be impacted generally, and how you think that actors are going to change their behaviors in terms of planning for something like this, like building, besides just saving, how do you, build this type of thing into your life plan?
So as for Cirque, I think many people know that the company is basically in over $900 million in debt. And that came out like the next day after we shut down shows. And they had to shut down, I think it was something like 44 shows worldwide, everything. And they let go 4,700 employees, which is 95% of our Cirque workforce. So it was a massive, shocking eye-opener for us, but also I think it kind of reflects, I mean, this is getting into something else, but a little bit of American culture, how we like ride high and we get so cocky and we get, I think Cirque got really excited to just keep extending, open more shows. And there wasn't enough thought about saving and I think that's also us too, all people. It just really is like, wow,
True story.
when times are really good, let's really buckle down and think about the future, because who would have thought, I mean, I know Bill Gates warned us, but who would have thought that a pandemic would shut down the entire world for 3 months? That's crazy. And you know, so we're affected because not only did every single one of our shows shut down, but now even if we get our casinos are back up as of June 4th, even if we got the green light to go back to work, we can't go back yet until we straighten out our finances. So now we have all these people coming in, including our founder and some of our original directors, like the one Franco Dragon of Mystère. He's even in the circle now, talking to come back into this mix. So now these people that went away are trying to rescue this company that everyone loves. And so we are not really sure what's going to happen. So even if we do get that green light, we have to get the right people back involved. There's going to be like probably several months of getting it together, getting the finances together before we can even enter the theater. So, you know, that's the craziest part about this whole thing. We can't really plan much for ourselves as individuals. If we want our job again, like I love Miss I love my job. It's my perfect job. So I'm just waiting. I'm waiting to go back to work. There are many other families though that are like, well, I need to kind of know ish ballpark when you're thinking maybe we'll be able to go back up so I can plan for my family. Like, do I need to get out of here? Do I need to go back home to my country? There's a lot of uneasiness right there. And I think we're all in that same boat. So everyone's different in my cast. I'm sure there's some people thinking about an exit strategy. If they have to do what they have to do for their family. Me, I'm just hanging tight. So that's kind of, and you know, Cirque du Soleil is such a huge part of Vegas entertainment. It's a massive part of entertainment here. So we have several shows here. We're all just kind of waiting. So I don't know. We'll just see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we're kind of in that same boat too. We're just waiting to see what happens, because with our line of work, how do you get people into the audience safely, sitting next to each other? How do you get actors sweating all over each other, spitting all over each other? Crewmen, wardrobe, quick changing us. How do you figure all that stuff out safely when there's a pandemic? I personally think we need a vaccine. You know, you can be safe, but it's either we all get vaccinated or we all get this, develop our antibodies. I just don't know what the future has in store. And I personally think with New York and Broadway that the first season back might be smaller shows, like smaller casts, the Strange Loops, the Soft Powers, the smaller stuff, because I feel like producers have taken such a big hit that the bigger shows will come back the following season after seeing what the first season does. You know, the shows like Doubtfire that have already been there, they'll keep going, you know. But I think people are going to slowly tiptoe back in. I think there's going to be a lot more Zoom casting sessions. Like I used to hate self-tapes because I'm so bad at them. And me and my husband get into such awful fights during each self-tape. That's a reality now. That's what we have to do.
Right.
So our industry is fully changing. I know there's Zoom readings, there's Zoom concerts, there's all sorts of stuff virtually. And I'm curious to see, it's going to impact our industry, I'm just curious to see how.
And do you have any conjecture? Like, I mean, do you think, like, you know, you specifically, Ray, do you feel like it's going to be, you know, harder or easier or more streamlined to do business? Do you think maybe there'll be access to a bunch of talent that we would normally have not had access to because we can use Zoom? Like, I'm curious to hear what you think.
I think in a weird way, you know how with films and TV it was getting so fancy schmancy and beautiful looking and even more high tech, but then all we need is this. You just need a
Right.
camera. People are doing concerts with just their phones. I feel like people will start realizing it's about the content and the actors and the talent on the screen. I don't know. I feel like there will be more. I think it will give us access to more voices out there. Hopefully more BIPOC, BIPOC voices
Right.
that wouldn't have the exposure. It's going to change a lot. It already has. And I'm being an older one now in the business. I'm curious to see. I hope I can keep up with the change.
Well, so switching gears a little bit, one of the things that I asked both of you, and given the title of the series, right, like where do we go from here? If you were talking to, let's say, your own 10, 11, 12-year-old self about getting into acting, getting into, live performance, what's some advice you might give to yourselves besides save, save, save when the time is good, that would, prepare you for this life, particularly given what you've experienced now?
So young Mackenzie totally was not on board with the whole have a plan B. I remember being like, what? What do you mean plan B? There is no plan B. It's plan A, and you need to go for it. And if you're not going to go full out 100%, you shouldn't even be here. Like that was the old Mackenzie. There's still a little bit of that in me. Like I really like the idea of going for it, no matter what you choose. And I think if you have too many side things going on, you're not committing enough energy towards your main goal.
Right.
And so I do kind of believe I still have a little bit of that in me, but now being older, and I do have a son now, and we do try to be a little more responsible. At least one of us is steady, which is my husband. So that means I'm lucky in that sense. But also we're always turning our wheels on what else can we do? Where can we invest? Oh, look at that empty building over there. I wonder, what would be good in there? Jimmy John's do really well there. I mean, we're constantly just turning our wheels about anything.
Right.
Anything. And I'm married to a very entrepreneurial type person. So I think that brought out a lot of that in myself. We're constantly talking about this kind of stuff. So I feel like it's not a bad idea to just kind of look at where you can invest money, things that can grow, and other things that really interest you. I mean, I used to think like all I'm interested in is singing. All I want to do is sing. All I want to do is sing. And it's kind of still true. But as I've gotten older and kind of kept my mind open to other things, I've realized, oh, wow, I love interior design. I'm obsessed with interior design. I love teaching more than I never thought I would really be into that. But I've recently, a year or two ago, I was touring Europe and I was doing master classes with these underprivileged people, and it made me want to weep when I got home at night, because it felt so joyful to give something to these people that you normally don't have exposure to, the arts and teachings. And so I feel like, I don't know, as you get older too, I just feel like you start opening your mind a little more. And I feel like I say this to my husband all the time, like, be a yeser. Be a yeser. Just say yes. If something comes your way, you might think, that's below me, or, well, that'll take me away from this. It's like, no. Like, say yes, because even if it's not related to what you do, even if it's not related to you as a performer, it is related to you as a performer, because all your life experiences, becoming a mother has made me a much better actor, a much better performer. I can reach vulnerable places that I've never ever been able to access before becoming a parent or becoming a wife or having struggles and the downs. So I just think, I'm segueing, I'm sorry, but I just think that the journey of life and keeping an open heart and mind, and dabbling into other things is always a good idea. And those passions and those interests generate money. They do, you know, if just keep networking, keep meeting people, keep being kind, keep being good, and things just happen. So I feel like that has changed the course of my life, where I'm not so obsessed with just singing, performing. It's like I've opened myself up to a lot more things, and I'm a happier person and a more well-balanced person, I think, because of that.
Hey, I was like, how can I follow that? I was like, that was like a TED Talk. If I had to talk to like little 10-year-old Ray about the business, I would say don't box yourself in.
Mm-hmm.
I think with school and education, I was taught to be a certain type, or this is how they will see you. So you have to do this. And I let that affect me. The first few years I was in New York, to my detriment. And once I realized, oh, I go into the room, do what I do. If they like it, great. If not, oh, well, I'm not the right person for this show. And it's taken me a while to learn that. And I embrace that. That's what I try and tell all the kids these days. Don't try and sound like this person. Be inspired by them. Be inspired by someone's acting choices, vocal stylings, great. But do what you feel like you want to do artistically.
Mm-hmm.
And that will get you way farther than copying someone. Also, be kind. Don't be a diva. And just be kind. Don't be and don't what's it called? Expect stuff. I see a lot of people that expect stuff. Don't expect it. It'll come when it's supposed to.
As everyone who's watching probably sees, this is exactly why I asked Mackenzie and Ray to join me today, right? There are these two loving, kind people who are intellectually curious and who inspire me and whom I admire just immensely. So thank you both so much for your time, for your advice, for sharing your stories. I really, really appreciate it. And for those who are watching, I'll make sure to link below to all of Mackenzie and Ray's Instas and this and that, and you can find them. There's lots of really fun videos of both of them actually on YouTube, so I'm sure that'll lead to a little bit of a rabbit hole. But thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Emmy.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.